And welcome back to Gridiron 2021. Dr. Ron Poniewasz and the professor himself, Larry Kelly, joining you here for Gridiron. We are on a 2-minute drill this week. Gridiron has made the playoffs, and we said, hey, we're going to start it off by going on a 2-minute drill. So we're here, 2-minute drill. Athlete of the week is first. You all set there, Mr. Kelly?
I'm ready to go. Just to let you know that I did my homework this morning trying to get a little more football knowledge. You know, I mean, the word's out there that it's not, I don't have a lot of football knowledge. In fact, I think one of my former players weighed in on that, who, by the way, Michael Wells signed or at least verbally committed to Youngstown State University to play football there. They're going to get a great football player. And Michael Wells is a special athlete, and they got one coming. He is the original junkyard dog. And even though he said I didn't know much about football, I think he did call me a junkyard dog. And I accept that as certainly a compliment. But just so you know, this morning I had breakfast with Mark Mangino, you know, former head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks and coach of the year, Anthony Lorenza, captain of the 1970 football team, probably the best high school football team ever to play at Newcastle, Richard Ripper Humphrey, and Philip Pudgy Tony, two of the stars on the 67 team. And I told them I was going on the air tonight. Men, can you help me out here? And they did their best, so let's see how it goes. Athlete of the week. Here we go.
Athlete of the week is Mohawk's J.C. Voss, quarterback, middle linebacker. J.C. is a senior. He was 7 of 18 last week for 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in a 33-7 win over Elwood City Lincoln. That win snapped a 3-game losing streak. It helped lock up the third position in the Midwestern Conference for the Warriors and give them a little bit better of a seed going into the postseason. Larry, your thoughts on JC?
Well, you don't need to know a lot about football, and you certainly don't need to be Newt Rockne to know that J.C. Voss is a football player. He's had a great season at Mohawk. I know he was out a couple games that I think hurt them because they're not the same team when he isn't in the lineup. 6'1", 215. He can throw it. He can run it. He's a tough linebacker on the defensive side of the ball. And 7 for 18, 191 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. That's a big game for him, but he's had those games before. Well-deserving of Athlete of the Week. And if Mohawk's going to make a run in the playoffs, then JC has to have big weeks for them, and I expect that he will.
2 weeks in a row he missed. One was with contact tracing for COVID, and then he came down with it and was able to shake it, but he missed that second week. And then the third game that they lost, he came back and was playing against Freedom with about 5 minutes to go. He rolled his ankle, and Coach Tim McCutcheon told me, he said, Ron, we didn't think he was going to play against Elwood. It was that bad. He was really struggling, but he had a good week of practice, was able to recuperate. And, you know, as you would say, truth be told, they probably could have managed and got a win against Elwood. But the reason that it's good that he came back, you know, it moves Mark Conti back to receiver, gets J.C. Voss back in there at quarterback, gets them at least one game to work cohesively going into a big stretch of the season known as the postseason.
And truth be told, probably Mohawk's performance against Freedom had something to do with the fact that the young man had not played for 2 weeks. You know, it was first action in actually 3 weeks, and that probably affected his play as well as the team's play. He's a good player. He's a tough kid. He's a good quarterback. He's a good linebacker. Again, if Mohawk's going to have success moving forward in the playoff, then J.C. Voss has to be big for them, and I expect that he will. He's that kind of player.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
All right, Larry, we are back with you, and we're going to talk our random topic this week. I'm going to read off the schools in alphabetical order. This is in no other order but alphabetical. Postseason teams. We got Mohawk, Neshannock, Newcastle, I'm sorry, I should start with Laurel. Laurel, Mohawk, Neshannock, Newcastle, Shenango, and Wilmington. There's 6 teams. I apologize to Laurel. You got to start with Laurel. Okay, out of those 6 schools, Larry, how many of those 6 schools do you give a legitimate shot at winning a district championship? Not just getting there, but winning a district championship.
Only 2, Laurel and Wilmington. And Wilmington's going to have a tough sled because they have to deal with Farrell. And it might be the best Farrell team in the last 20 years and maybe the best 2A team in the state. So that's my view. I hope I'm not hurting anybody's feelings, but again, just in watching what's happened all season and watching, who is now playing their best football, peaking, it looks to me like Laurel and Wilmington really are the 2 teams that have a legitimate chance of winning a district championship.
Yeah, I have questions with every school. I can make a case for virtually all of them on to get there and possibly win it, and I can make a case that they have no shot. Laurel should get there to the WPIAL championship game. However, if you took the opposite side of the coin and said that the other team's defense shows up and shuts down Luke McCoy and Kobe DeRosa, and I don't really take stock in that. But if you're looking at that side,
nobody's done that yet.
Right, exactly. That's why
nobody has even come close to doing.
And then Mohawk, you got Mohawk on the plus side. I say, hey, they got a passing game. They can pass. They get behind. They can throw the ball all over the lot. However, with J.C. Voss missing time lately, and they just haven't been in that rhythm. That's the side of the coin that I believe in with Mohawk. Neshannock, this isn't the Neshannock team that we're used to. They're just not going into the playoffs with that momentum, that good strong play. However, Fred Mazzocco knows what he's doing. His staff knows what they're doing. So you gotta give Neshannock a little bit of a chance. Shenango, are they the team that going into the playoffs that won 3 games in a row, including down at Olsh? Or are they the team that I watched on Friday night that didn't look like they belonged in the playoffs? I was thoroughly disappointed with Shenango, and that's not a fair statement by me because I only saw them once. However, the product that they put out there in a must-win game against a team that they're better than, and they look like that, I wasn't impressed with Shenango. However, covering them this year on paper, watching them from a distance, what they've been doing, knowing that they have Hunter Lively, C.J. Miller, Sam Patton, they could win a couple games. So I give them a good shot. And then Wilmington, again, it's Wilmington, it's Brandon Fillion, and it's all those kids that have a desire to win football games. But then in the back of your mind, you have to say, quote unquote, boat raced against Farrell. Didn't have a chance against that school from Findlay, Ohio. And they're going into this playoff season with 2 losses. When's the last time they went into the playoffs with 2 losses? I give Wilmington a better shot than of making the championship and winning it than I do counting them out against Northwestern for sure. So that's where I'm at with Wilmington.
Laurel and Wilmington, at least in my view, they're the only 2 teams that have a legitimate chance of bringing back a District 10 title and a WPIAL title.
Sure. I like it. We're in agreement.
I hope I'm wrong. Listen, I always root for the local teams, but, based on the evidence that I've seen to date, those are the 2 teams that have the best chance.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in agreement on that. Okay. We have the schedule upcoming to tell you about. So we'll take you to break next. That's what's coming up next here on Gridiron, our schedule portion.
I became an attorney because I believe in hard work, fairness, and human decency. In a word, justice. Our workers' compensation clients deserve justice because in an instant, their hard work turns into hard times when they get hurt on the job. No doubt, life is tough, but so am I. I've been fighting all my life, and I'll keep fighting for you. I'm Joe George, and here in Lawrence County, it's personal.
All right, we are moving quickly here in our 2-minute drill. We're getting into field goal range. Just got to get a final snap of the ball and spike it and get ourselves in position for that field goal. This is our Schedule portion, Larry. And first off, we have number 9 seed Newcastle at 6-4 at number 8 seed Highlands 7-3. This is a 7 p.m. WPIAL Class 4A matchup. Larry Kelly, anything else you'd like to say on Newcastle?
Look, again, what Newcastle team's going to show up? The team that came from behind 3 games to win in a thrilling fashion, or the team that got, beaten badly by Aliquippa and Central Valley. If they eliminate the turnovers, they had a boatload of them against Aliquippa. If they control, I guess, the pace of the game, because Newcastle likes to grind it out, then they can beat Highlands. They've played Highlands in the past. Normally, it's a very competitive game, 2 evenly matched teams, but they're playing Highlands on the road, and that's a big deal come playoff time.
When you tell me I can go to the window and get Newcastle at plus money on the road in an 8-9 matchup, give me the Canes, baby. I'm taking Newcastle money line.
I want you to be right. You don't know how bad I want you to be right. Again, when I hear the fight song, I still get the chills. So that's just who I am. I root for the Hurricane.
All right. Number 10, Mohawk, 5-5 at number 7, Char Houston, 7-1. This is a Class 2A playoff matchup. Chartiers Houston, you're going to ask, well, why is it that they've played 8 games and Mohawk has played 10? I get it if they had played 9, but Chartiers Houston had a game postponed against Riverview this year, so that is why Char Houston is at 8 games. So that obviously tells you that they elected to play a second scrimmage, whereas other teams were playing a game in week 0. So that's where we're at with that. Mohawk at Char Houston.
Long bus ride. Char Houston's about an hour-and-a-half bus ride on a school bus. If Mohawk's going to be successful, J.C. Voss has to be big. He has to have an enormous game for the Warriors to win on the road at Chartiers Houston.
If Voss throws for 250 yards and possibly 2 or 3 touchdowns, Mohawk is on to the next round. Number 11, Neshannock, 7-3 against Sarah Catholic, which is 10-1. This game is 7 p.m. at Norwin High School. Again, Norwin High School, WPIAL Class 2A playoffs. Sarah Catholic got two forfeit wins this year against Carlinton and Ligonier Valley. So that is why Sarah Catholic has 11 games on their ledger instead of 10. They also played and beat Freeport the week of the forfeit win over Carlinton. So, Larry, number 11, Neshannock, number 6, Sarah.
I actually saw some film today in the office. Coach Mangino was looking at some film on Sarah Catholic. Look, they're a good team. They got some good athletes on the team. But, again, Coach Mangino thinks that there are some things that they can exploit involving Sarah Catholic's defense. But, again, what Neshannock team's going to show up? The Neshannock team that historically has played big and sound football in playoff games, or the Neshannock team that got beaten badly by Laurel. Neshannock's going to have to play a really good game to beat Sarah Catholic, but I think they're capable of doing it. I think Neshannock plays a little tougher schedule than Sarah Catholic does.
Yeah, big question is, do we get to see Cameron Owens? What is he worth to the number? How many points is Cameron Owens worth to that Neshannock team when he plays versus when he doesn't play? If he can get out there and play, I really like Neshannock. If he doesn't, Kurt Sommerfeld's going to have to really play well. Johnny Huff, Peyton Weaver, they're going to have special games to go down on the road and beat Sarah Catholic. But they can do it. They can do it.
It's a long ride. Norwin is another hour-and-a-half bus ride. We played a WPIAL playoff semifinal game at Norwin High School. It was a long bus ride to get there that day.
Number 14, McGuffey, 5-5 at number 3, Laurel, 10-0, a Class 2A playoff matchup out of the WPIAL. Larry?
Listen, nobody's beaten Laurel in the first round. They're just too good. And you can say what you want. They just grind you down. Their running game is special. When they put up 250 yards on the ground against Neshannock last week, that was impressive to me. Laurel will be moving on to the second round.
This one is a mercy rule by 4 minutes to go, second quarter. We will all know the fight song by that point. Play the fight song, Larry Kelly.
There you go, baby.
Number 11, Shenango, 3-6 at number 6, Carmichael's 8-2. This is a Class 1A playoff matchup. You know what I said about Shenango the last time, which Shenango team's showing up.
Yeah, and Carmichael's, you talk about a long bus ride. The Carmichael's is almost in West Virginia. We played them, at Norwin in the WPIAL semifinal game in baseball, and that was halfway for both teams. So it's a stroke. It's going to be a tough sled for Shenango to go to Carmichael's and come back with a victory.
If they get that ground game moving, and they're playing like they were a few weeks ago when they were on a 3-game winning streak and controlling clock and beating Olsh 14-7, that's a win for Shenango. If they're playing from behind the sticks and behind the score like they were against Union, then Carmichael's. It's just which Shenango team is showing up. That's what
you got to be able to run the ball in high school football to win in the playoffs. You must be able to run the ball and do so effectively. So I agree with you. If Shenango can run it as they did for a 3-game stretch, they're legit and difficult to beat. If not, it'll be a long day.
District 10 Class 2A playoffs is where we'll close it up. Number 3, Wilmington, 6-2. When's the last time Wilmington, number 1, had 2 losses? Number 2 was anything but a 1 or even a 2 seed, and they will go down to Edinburgh to face the number 2 seed Northwestern, 7-0. That's 7 p.m. at Edinburgh University.
This might be the first time, at least as long as we've been doing this podcast, that Wilmington might be an underdog in a game. If there was a point spread here, they might be an underdog. I'm not familiar with Northwestern. I'm familiar with the area, though. They play pretty good football up there. They're just outside of Erie, and but how could you ever bet against Wilmington? Their players are disciplined. They don't beat themselves. If they're going to lose this game, it will be because Northwestern beats them. Wilmington will not beat themselves. And in the playoffs, the Greyhounds are tough. They have pedigree. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, you mentioned Northwestern plays good football. I think this area of District 10 is better. Wilmington plays better competition. So I like Wilmington in this game. I don't know that it's going to be much of a surprise. I like Wilmington straight up. Northwestern's closest game was a 22-7 win over Warren. And the winner of this game, and I'm sure we all know who they're going to play, they play the survivor of either Greenville or Farrell. So naturally, the winner of this game gets Farrell. But I really like Wilmington in this game. I just like the competition that they're used to facing. I'm not sure what Northwestern has faced, and Northwestern played 7 games this year. So give me the kids from Wilmington.
Yeah, they have pedigree. They have playoff pedigree. And, a team that will not beat themselves is hard to beat. And I don't care what sport you're talking about, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, a team that doesn't beat themselves by penalties, by turnovers, and those types of things that are critical in every game is a tough team to beat, and that's who Wilmington is.
And that's the chime for Larry to say, come on, Larry, we got to go. All right, that is what we got here this week for you on Gridiron. Don't think I didn't hear that. All right, Larry, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be back here next week. Good luck to all our players and coaches around the county in the playoffs. See you next week.
Thanks, Ron.